Go. Speed Booster. Your Majesty has been forever tarnished by the inadequate control scheme of the Game Boy Advance.
If you don't already know, this is the Zero Mission Let's Play, done by the wonderful Zyger, who is not currently talking.
That's me. And who are you?
I'm this weird guy called Vorpal Edge, and I'm here as a guest.
You may remember Vorpal Edge from such fine videos as various speedruns.
I think you're overselling them quite a bit there.
This is the part where you tell the people what you've done. Come on.
Oh.
Step up to the plate here.
Well, I play a lot of Metroid games. I've speedrun Super Metroid quite a bit. I don't quite have the record, but I might work on it sometime. I have a Let's Play in this very forum, Super Metroid Redesign. It's quite a good game. I recommend checking it out. No, really.
Absolutely. You can tell it's great. I personally think it's incredible. I was on the testing team for that game and everything, and let me tell you, it was quality from beginning to end. I'm trying really hard not to grimace here because I know that I've been lying.
Well, thankfully, Zero Mission isn't quite on Redesign's caliber.
Certainly a lot smaller.
And more cramped. Definitely a lot more cramped.
Well, looks like we'll be heading to Norfair pretty soon, but first I want to go pick up the Varia suit. I think we're about due. This is an optional pickup. I don't have to get this, but for some reason, the game awards it to you anyway, whether you like it or not, after a certain point.
It's pretty funny. And also, something I wanted to point out was, since Kishi's not in this commentary, I want to make the requisite, but it's really called the Barrier Suit remark, and then we can forget about it for the rest of the Let's Play.
How did that get started anyway?
I think it was some kind of translation thing.
Same reason we call it Zebus instead of Zebeth?
Something like that.
I think Zebeth is a cooler name, actually. I wonder why they didn't stick with it.
Well, personally, I just call it Zeebs, so...
Alright, now we finally have that shiny orange paint job to go with our enormous shoulders.
If you paint it red, she goes faster.
Isn't it true that there are a grand total of about 5 or 6 ultra-hot rooms in all of Zero Mission, and none of them are necessary to complete the game?
That's pretty much the case, yes.
So they designed the game so you could skip the Varia suit, and yet they give it to you anyway.
Pretty much, yeah. This game is very schizophrenic like that.
I've read in the forum thread that the major difference between this game and Super Metroid is that Super Metroid is more of a full game tutorial. And thinking about that, it sort of makes sense, because throughout the whole game you're presented with new skills and abilities and gently taught different ways to use them and to build up your skills so you can eventually learn to think for yourself.
that was a post that I definitely agreed with for the most part. Zero Mission doesn't have very many roadblocks. I mean, even though the world map is kind of the same size as Super Metroid's, most players still finish it in like 2 hours. It's very open and shut, and there aren't that many barriers between places where you go. Even discounting the hint system and some of the things that make it faster in general.
What roadblocks are there, though, are pretty obnoxious.
Oh yeah?
For example, there is one roadblock once you enter Norfair here. If you don't have the power grip, there's a Kago Ball enemy that appears and blocks off your only path to progress, and it does not go away until you have the power grip. So its only reason for existence is to keep you from breaking the game until you have the power-up they want you to have. That's bogus.
Definitely.
You'll be happy to know that no such thing happens in this particular edition of Zero Mission, but I wind up getting the power grip anyway because, well, I'm here for the plasma beam, so why not?
You really did a good job with the plasma beam sprite, by the way. Looks spiffy.
Oh, I didn't draw that. It was actually in the game. They just disabled any way possible that you could view it in this context.
Really?
Which is kind of strange. It's clear that they covered the eventuality of having only the plasma beam, and yet they didn't allow you the chance to make it happen.
The closest thing you can get in the original game is getting the wave beam before the ice beam. That gets you a nice little purple sprite. Looks pretty cool.
Power grip. This item you will never need because you already have the space jump. Congratulations.
And you just space jump right out of there. It's very fitting.
Although there are some tight spots you have to wedge yourself into with the power grip. Otherwise, you'd have to use bomb jumps.
Thankfully, bomb jumps are very easy in this game.
Yes, it's almost like they programmed it to be very forgiving. Very large hitbox, very fast timing. You can almost spam it and be able to bomb jump, unlike in Super Metroid.
The other advanced techniques have easier controls too. Shine sparking is a lot easier in this game.
Yeah, especially the directional shine sparking. That was always kind of weird in Super Metroid, and I'm glad they worked it out.
Definitely.
Of course, then you run into the problem of, if the player has already played Super Metroid before, then they're going to know all the abilities that Samus has for this game. And since it's already pretty open, they could break it without even trying.
I guess that's why they put some of the roadblocks in. Unfortunately for everyone else.
Yeah, it didn't work out too well. Frankly, the game seems much more interesting without them.
To this day, my favorite break in this game is skipping the Acid Worm and Kraid, which you did in the previous update. That's one of the things that doesn't actually look like it was programmed in, even though they may very well have known about it. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's just down to the event system being permissive enough to let you get away with it, because it's pretty clear that they did everything they could to make it impossible. Short of putting an object in the way, I'm going to say it right now. The hallmark of a terrible video game designer is getting mad when someone plays your game in a way you didn't intend, and closing off that possibility.
That's usually a dick move, gotta agree.
I'm looking at you, half of Retro Studios. The heat effects in this game are kind of obnoxious.
How so? Aside from existing in the first place.
Well, the red haze. The way they did it in Super Metroid actually seemed more elegant and realistic. If you've ever looked outside on a hot, sunny day, they pretty much nailed it.
The thing with Super Metroid, though, is that some of the rooms where there actually isn't a heat effect still look like they were heated. So it was kind of confusing seeing if, in the beginning days when you didn't actually, when you may not have known offhand which rooms were heated and which weren't, it was confusing trying to figure out where you could go, or whether you needed more energy tanks.
The only surefire way to tell is whether Samus's power suit glows. And that's something they actually didn't do for Zero Mission. In Super Metroid, when you were in an ultra-heated area, the power suit would glow steadily.
Does it really? I've never actually noticed that. I mean, I usually just go by the damage effect, or the shining background.
It's just one of the many touches they added that made it stand out among the rest of the games of its era.
That's pretty awesome.
I mean, I was blown away when I noticed that Samus's gun is always on her right arm, and it never mirrors. I mean, they held that over for this game, but these days, that kind of graphical detail is a little more commonplace. Oh boy, I'm pretty sure these lame mini-bosses were the ones who replaced Crocomire. He's actually in this game, but they never finished programming his AI. If you can manage to use a cheat code to replace another enemy with Crocomire, he just stands there with his mouth open and you can't really kill him.
In the original game, the second worm enemy that you just beat, were you able to wave beam it, or I thought you had to use bombs?
Normally you have to use bombs, but if you've got plasma and wave beam, you can shoot through to kill it.
Oh, that's awesome. Chalk that up to another thing I didn't know.
We're breaking new ground here at the Zero Mission Legendary Let's Play. Wait till we get to the low percent run. That's going to be crazy. Assuming I decide to do one.
I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. Turrion is so bad.
Ugh. Took me a long time to get through that the first time.
In these walls, these are another shortcut that really shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
They're just so lame.
I thought about maybe taking that shortcut out because it's such an obvious gimme, but I figure since it's there and people know about it, might as well keep it in. Concentrate more on making shortcuts than breaking them.
I can definitely imagine you'd get angry emails if you took it out.
It takes all about 5 minutes in the editor, sheesh. I like sort of the little story that's going on with this thing here in Norfair. Like, there's some kind of weird vines down at this deep level, and The various worms that have been living here have been getting stuck in them.
It is kind of cool. And then the larva that is there eventually grows up to be the bee that you fight later.
Shh! Don't spoil the secret.
Aww.